One of the things that people find particularly disconcerting, which means worrying, which means fearful, is change. Some people find any sort of change difficult. Others, oh no, I'm easy at change. I love challenges, except for this sort of change, and that really gives me a problem. But either way, change of circumstance can often upset us, worry us, and drive us back. The fear of change can keep us places that we really don't want to be. It can keep us in relationships that we should leave behind. It can keep us in jobs that we should leave behind. It can keep us in houses and in lots of things that we should simply leave behind because we've probably outgrown them, if they ever fitted in the first place. I'd like you to think back, and think about a time you made a change and it worked. Got that? Okay. Now think about the time you made a change and it didn't work, for whatever reason. And now think about a time when you wanted to make a change, but you didn't. And by change here, I don't mean a dramatic change of job. Maybe it was to change the slight nuance of a relationship through having an open and honest conversation. Maybe it was a change to the house you wanted to do, but you still had to have that conversation. Or a change to a circumstance and you knew that it would be difficult for the other people. So you just let it go. And actually it cost you to let it go. So what was the difference between the change that went well and the change that didn't go well? Maybe that was to do with the amount of planning and understanding of the circumstances pertaining to that change and the one that didn't go well. But what about that change that went well and the one that you didn't even try? What was the difference there? Well, let me give you one perspective on what that difference might be. Whenever we make a change, or whenever we don't make a change that is possible, it's because there is a specific balance between what we're afraid of losing and what we hope to gain, between fear of loss and opportunity and gain offered by the change. If what I fear to lose weighs more than what I hope to gain, then I don't make that change. I get defensive, I hunker down, I dig my heels in, or whatever I want to say about it. But the change does not happen. Fear rules. If, however, what I hope to gain or the positive opportunities of the change outweigh the fears of what I might lose, or what I might lose and what I want to leave behind is so painful for me that any future is potentially better, then I make that change. And I take that step from the known into the unknown. And that's one of the two things that's necessary to understand about change. What I am leaving behind when I change always has more weight to it, psychologically, emotionally, and practically, than where I want to go, simply because what I'm leaving behind is known. I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've known it. So when I look to what I'm going to gain, I might have some understanding of it, I might have done a lot of research, but it's still intangible in that sense. It's a positive story I'm telling myself of potentiality. And therefore that always has to be quite strong to get me to leave where I am, unless where I am is particularly uncomfortable or painful. This is why our deep sense of purpose and our clear vision of who and how we wish to be has to be very strong to overcome the inertia of the present, of the comfort zone that we find ourselves in. Or that comfort zone has to become particularly uncomfortable and eject us in effect. That's the first thing about change. The second thing about change is that change is always happening. One of the key characteristics of living things is movement and growth. You cannot move and grow without things changing. Who you are, how you are, what you believe to be good and true and right and proper is very different now than it was 20 years ago. The world you're in is very different now than it was 20 years ago. If you are hanging on to what you believed 20 years ago to be true and right and proper about the world, then you're probably finding it quite difficult. You're probably giving yourself quite a lot of stress and find yourself in conflict, internal and external. Because allowing yourself to flow with the changes while deeply linked to your purpose and your intention is part of growth and evolution and change. Now, when we work with people, we often talk about change and we ask them, what is it that you're afraid of losing when you walk from this room of the present and the past into that room of the future and its potential? And this is what they come up with. As you can see, these emotions are very much fear-based. It's the fear of loss, the fear of the unknown, the fear of potential failure. When we ask them about what it is that pulls them forward, that promotes that change, that attracts them towards it, this is what they tell us. And you can see from this list that these are all very positive. They support growth and movement and change and evolution of experience and learning. So when it comes back to yourself, if you are uncertain, unsure, concerned, worried, fearful of making a change, then look at these lists and make sure you get your balance right. It might mean that you have to do some more research. Don't take a leap in the dark. Make sure you shine a light on it. Do your research, do your understanding. Be very clear about what is required for that change to happen as safely and as positively and as productively as possible. But don't let inertia, don't let fear trap you in the past. Many people are so afraid of change, they take the past and they throw it down in front of them in this continual caterpillar trap where their past becomes their future. At each moment, it's possible to take a different path. At each moment, the choice is yours. Take it.